to Daddies the podcast. Another episode. We are finally in the new studio,
Mm-hmm.
and today we have a very special guest. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
What's up? I'm Mair Mulroney.
Thank you so much for joining us. We crossed paths in a interesting way. So we had Adam Wedd on our show
About a month ago. Yep.
and so I've known like who you were for a while, but then I saw you liking some posts that he had. So do you know Adam personally or just through the
Kind
yeah?
of a really good friend of mine. So I came up in music. Adam Wedd's a really good, fantastic musician and artist. And I have a good friend and co-collaborator who I've worked with for years and years, probably my oldest friend in LA, Mark Solomon, who works with Adam. And I was going to London to do a commercial shoot, and I was going to be out there for a week and a half. And I was telling Mark about it, and he was like, "Oh, dude, you got to meet my boy Adam. He's going to be out there. He can take you to Abbey Road and blah, blah, blah." I was like, "Yeah, let's go." We started connecting, and we were going to meet up while I was out there. But he had a trip to LA at the exact same time. So we didn't end up crossing paths, but we like know each other, but
You
not
saw him
really.
while you were up in the sky, right?
Yeah, literally, like, waving to each other. "Hey."
Adam, we had I think one of like our funnest conversations with him.
He was really good. Yeah, he was
it
really fun
was,
to
yeah.
fun to talk to.
And he found us. We did like a joint show with Jarrett and Gary from Bowling for Soup, and we did each other's podcast.
Yeah, we're playing. What's that? How many steps to Kevin Bacon? Or what's the Kevin Bacon thing? Everybody knows Kevin Bacon. 7 degrees of separation, or 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
7 degrees of Kevin
Yeah.
Bacon. Yeah.
Speaking of which, my boyfriend worked with Kevin Bacon. So yeah, everybody
That's
knows
it.
So it
Kevin
all
Bacon.
And you know what? That puts us now closer, right?
yeah, it's the little things. So
Mayor, I have to say, when you first jumped on, so you were playing with her lightsaber. I am the
Yeah.
biggest Star Wars fan ever, and I was watching the Star Wars short film that you did, and it was
Oh,
awesome. I loved it. It was very cool.
thank
I geeked out,
you.
and I was as a
got a poster for it
yes,
right here. Sands of
yes,
Fate.
and I was geeking out. I could tell at Star Wars fandom is torn at times, at the best of times, I'd say, and that was like I could tell like real fans were making that movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, real fans and real filmmakers, like all of those guys, they work in the Star Wars world. And they went hard. So Tim Martin was the director. It was co-directed by Tim Martin and Patrick Lundberg. Tim is a monster, like, or a special effects monster. He does, and he creates all of these creatures. He designed a lot of the creatures for The Mandalorian. Chris Bartlett is in it. He plays one of the droids, and he's in The Mandalorian. Actually, you guys should have him on your show. I can connect you. He's in The Mandalorian, Ashoka. He's in every single Disney Star Wars show that's on the planet.
That's
He's
great.
in it. So you have, and these are guys who make their own costumes. Like the set designs are crazy. They design the sets for these shows, and they just wanted to do, hey, if we're fans of the original trilogy, like and that's where we come up from, and that's what we love. So if we were to create our own series or these different like spinoffs, where would we have taken it? As opposed to where Disney took it, which they don't want to say anything bad about Disney because they all work for
Of
Disney,
course.
but creative differences.
It's definitely a choice
We'll say that.
that has been made.
So when you use like an intellectual property, something like Star Wars, is there like a lot of red tape or like is it like covering a song where you have to pay a fee or is it
I was super curious about that as well. It's technically not for profit, but I have a good friend of mine she's an executive at Disney, and she came to the premiere and I'm sorry, is this ours? We didn't do this. And I was like, no, you didn't. She's like, how the hell did you guys get away with this? And I think a lot of the executives have seen it. They have used a lot of the characters that were from our short, and they did one before called Birth of a Monster, a different fan film. And they've canonized some of those characters in the new shows that are out now. They're fine with it because it's done really well, but I think it is a very fine line that you can walk. There was definitely I worked with companies who have tried to do things that have emulated Star Wars just a little bit, and they've gotten shut down immediately. But I think because these guys work with them and because it was done so well, they're like, "All right,
They
we're
get a
as
bit
long as
of
you're not making money,
leeway, right.
we."
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I always just assumed, like, Disney I heard
Mhm.
Nintendo's really good, like, they'll get you if you even whiff around
Yeah,
any of
I just
their,
know that you don't want the mouse to be angry with you.
yeah.
You don't. There's a blurb at the very beginning that says this is a not-for-profit fan film. We're not in association with Disney. But they're very much Disney's very much aware that it exists and it lives out
Well,
there,
that's
and
a
they
sign that they haven't
work with everybody.
come for anybody yet.
Yeah.
No, yeah, no, I think they're good.
I'll
I think
I'll
we're
tell you
good.
what, when I was looking at it and I saw, like, that poster that you just held up, and I honestly thought and there's no way that this is possible, I love Star Wars that much. I said, "Did I miss something? Did I miss an actual release of a Star Wars film or a short story or something?" That's how much I mean, you guys tricked me almost. Huge
Yeah, no,
fan.
I start my reel out that way too. So they're like, wait, oh, she was in Star Wars? Oh, what show is this? But yeah, no, it was wild, man. We shot at this, part of it shot at this bar in Hollywood called Scum and Villainy. And it looks just the bar from
Yeah, those
actual
look
Star
yeah.
Wars. But then they created there's part of it where they created this incredible set, and you walk on and you see it that they built, and it's all foam, and it like but these guys, like, made everything and made it all come to life, and you're just like, "Whoa." Like, with the band, when the band starts playing, that's not even shot in the cantina, that's a completely different location shot, like, a year
That
later.
was the next reveal
And
band was
that
absolutely
Yeah.
Easter egg. I loved that.
I will have to send you some of the behind the scenes stuff that I have from that. It was amazing, but it blew your mind because you're like, you felt like you were just in the Star Wars universe. I was like, this might be the closest that I ever get. I'm
Amazing how you can
happy.
get it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it.
So, I'm not as big into Star Wars as Eric.
No, you love Lord of the No, you don't love Lord of the Rings at
No,
all.
I would
Alright.
much rather prefer Star Wars over
Wait,
Lord of the
you're not geeky at all. You're just not geeky.
I like Marvel and I like
That's true.
comic books, but we went to Disney World, and in Hollywood Studios, they have I don't wanna what is the actual name of Galaxies,
Galaxy's Edge is the park's name, yeah.
and so we were there with my daughter, and we were walking, and she was like, "Oh, this is Star Wars Land," and this dude turns around, and he's like, "That is not what this place is called. We are not there. This is
So what, like
Galaxy's Edge."
a 3-year-old?
Yeah, she was like 2, where like, all right, whatever. She doesn't really care. But I gotta say, Star Wars people are,
Yeah, there's
you know,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't consider myself to be in that group, but,
That yeah. So I do have to ask, so I know you're in California and right now you have with the fires going on, how has that like the pictures look like it's horrific.
Mhm.
It is. It's hard to imagine. Los Angeles is an absolutely humongous city. I think it might be the size of a couple of states, honestly. It's a really large area. And you have a lot of different people living here. So around this time of year, we get Santa Ana winds, and I don't really know how to describe it other than it feels like you're in a hurricane. The winds are incredibly bad, but it's still hot outside, it's still dry. And we get brush fires constantly, but usually just they can be put out rather quickly. When these winds take them, it's like there's just no stopping it. It's crazy. It's hard to get helicopters in the air because it's so incredibly windy. And they just spread massively. A few years ago, we had these really insane Malibu fires. And I remember having to go to auditions in Santa Monica while Santa Monica is evacuating. And it's like the middle of the day, but everything is pitch black. And you've got embers flying at you, and it's terrifying. And you're like, am I in the apocalypse? This is crazy. And I thought that was bad. So this is a lot worse than that. It's nuts. So the Palisades is a neighborhood, very big area right underneath Malibu. Malibu makes more sense to catch on fire because it's a lot of landscape, mountainous areas, but you wouldn't expect a neighborhood to catch on fire like this. but it's old. They're old houses, a lot of wood buildings, really truly iconic Hollywood. It's not downtown Hollywood, but when you think of Los Angeles, when you think of the dream and making it and driving up and down the PCH, that's gone. All of it's gone. A lot of people have lost their homes. It's crazy. And so that's on the west side. And then on the east side, you have Pasadena, Altadena, which is very middle working class area. That caught on fire as well. And that's absurd. And then you have these winds blowing everything into the middle of LA. So you have the winds from the ocean blowing it east, and you have the winds from the mountains blowing it west. And it's just, if you're in the pocket area or in the valley, you can just see, you just saw the red kind of rising over the hills and this red glow just getting bigger and closer. Absolutely terrifying. Then you have all these other fires, like there was fires
Sounds
everywhere.
like like straight up.
It yeah, it did. The whole industry shut down completely. I was working on a series that had just started shooting in Altadena, and I remember leaving set one night being like, "God, it's windy and it smells like a barbecue." And it was just gray, and I was like, "Was this dust? Is it what is?" And I get right as I get on the freeway, everything opens up and I can see, like, the mountains on fire, and I was like, "Oh, shit. What?" And it was really hard to get home, it was crazy. And so that shoot got canceled, postponed for a month. I think the our location was in an evacuation zone, so they had to figure that out. Producers, lost their homes or had to be evacuated, and so the city's a mess right now. It's an absolute
Yeah,
mess.
that's not good for anybody. But if anybody needs an apocalypse scene filmed,
Got 'em.
I'll
Yeah, we
I'll
got
always
'em.
try to look at the bright side of things. There's not many here. That might be literally the only one, and I'd say overall not worth still.
Are they
Yeah, I
so
and
are the fires, like, calming down, or is it
they are. They're I think the Pasadena fire is, like, 70 something percent contained now, and the Altadena fire has stopped. It we basically, you needed the wind to stop in order to be able to get it under control. There's a new fire that just popped up a bit north of us, but that in, Santa Clarita, and that one's pretty bad. I don't know how much that's in control, but that started, like, yesterday or the day before. It's just crazy. It's wild. They are pretty much under control, but the damage is you can't even imagine. It's
Astronomical, I'm
really
sure.
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know not everybody could do this, but you hear the people that don't evacuate when they have to, and there's at least one story of this, I'm sure there's more, where they just take their garden hose and they spray their whole house
Mhm.
down and they spray their yard, and then you'll see just destruction, and then boom, there's their yard still there.
Truth yeah, that's it's not exactly funny, but so my parents live on a boat in Marina Del Rey, and they've got, their the boats catch on fire. So, like, last year, there was a couple of different boats that kind of went up in flames or something, and when you're on the dock, the boats are really close to each other. So, what they've always been told is if there's a boat fire, you literally just get out there, hose down your boat. Don't try to put the other fire out. You can't do it. You're not gonna be able to. Just hose down your boat. That's the best way to protect it. And a good friend of theirs, like, the boat next to them caught on fire. So that's exactly what he did. And his boat's fine. Can't say the rest that much for the rest of
Mm.
that part of the dock. But yeah, it's wild. I know that there's like a fire protection, like a thing that you can have sprayed onto your house when it's being built, or when you buy your house, you can get, like, this fire protectant put on it, but I think it's 2 or $300,000. So, yeah, I guess if you're buying a $10,000,000 home, then,
In the
like,
grand scheme of
whatever.
things.
Yeah, right.
But who's doing that? It's a lot of people think that it's just celebrities and really rich people who lost their homes. That's a very small percentage of who lost
But
things.
I've been seeing a
So,
lot of people too where it's, oh, someone who is wealthy, their home burns down, and people are like, "Yeah, right on," but it's all so just because
Yeah,
you're taking the humanity out of who the fuck cares if you're wealthy or not, right?
right.
Like, you've lost your home just and but
Your
it's
home and your personal belongings, anything that meant anything important to you that you just can't get back. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't yeah, it's horrible. We fortunately in Delaware, we don't really have
No.
fires
No.
ever. So I can't even imagine what that's like.
Mayor, you said LA is like the size of some states. It's probably our state.
I was thinking
Yeah, right.
Delaware, like, it might actually be the size of Delaware.
You know what? I'm certain. I believe we've got 1,000,000 people. So and I'm almost certain LA
Oh,
has more than 1,000,000 people.
You can get from one end of
yeah.
Delaware to the
Oh,
other in
way.
what, like 2.5 hours?
Less than 2.5 hours, if like from the furthest, most populated tip to the most rural and barren of the other corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, man. Yeah. It takes me 2.5 hours to get halfway up the freeway
yeah,
sometimes, you
Greg and I
know?
went to LA November of 19, I think we were there. And
Oh, right before oh, man, that was a good time to be
it
out
really
here.
was.
Right before. It hasn't bounced back really,
That's
truly
tough.
since the
Yeah.
pandemic. So,
Um,
did you like it?
yeah.
So we had free airplane tickets, and my wife
No,
was
you had free
okay. So
tickets.
so originally my wife and I were supposed to go, but she was super pregnant, and the tickets were gonna expire. So I was like, "Sorry,
Hey,
w-
babe, I'm gonna
we
take Eric.
we have to fly out." And so she stayed home, and Eric and I flew out, and we ended up staying in like right outside of Inglewood.
It was right outside of Inglewood. I wish I remembered the name of the town. Starts with a H, I want to say, but I could be wrong. Doesn't really matter. But we
Hermosa
no,
Beach?
it was,
No, that's not
it was far
outside
from the
of
beach.
far from the beach?
Yeah.
But it
Okay.
was close to LAX, I think. But
Um,
maybe I don't.
it was really close to the new football
Yeah, it
stadium,
was close to SoFi.
and it was being built at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just south of SoFi. But anyway, we walked up that way in the middle of the day, and we didn't know like where we weren't like looking at a map and saying, "Oh, look where we are." We just knew that there was a. Did we just want to walk to town? We walked to In-N-Out Burger, and on the way back, it started to get dark, and we had an idea that we weren't in a great area. The guy that was driving us back, he said, "I
Oh,
live in Inglewood, bro, and I wouldn't have walked through this neighborhood."
it's LA's wild. So East Coast, I'm an East Coast girl, and you know where you are at all times, basically on the East Coast. You are either in a good area or you are not, right? And LA is tricky. I remember my first time coming out here being like, people like I was in music, so you had friends who lived in certain neighborhoods and stuff. You would go meet with different producers who had in-home studios, and they would be like, and I'd be like, this is the hood. These are nice homes. This is like a cute area. And they're like, nah, dude, you're seeing
Yeah,
it in the
I would
daytime. Do
I
not
would
come back
Airbnb
here at
here.
night.
This is my new vacation
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, this is cute. What are you talking about? Yeah, no, it changes. And it goes, you can go to like from Beverly Hills to just like a homeless encampment real quick. It just depends on what street you're on. So you LA is a place where you definitely wanna know where you're at all times, and I don't think any part of it is particularly
Mm,
safe.
mm.
I live in Marina Del Rey. I think that feels very safe to me, but even still, it it the neighborhoods change and you got a lot of homeless, a lot of crazy people
I
just
vividly remember
everywhere.
that. Actually, and I enjoyed it when we went. It was cool. We did like Universal Studios. We went to Venice Beach. We did the pier,
The Santa Monica
Santa
Pier,
Monica
yep.
Pier. And I remember, especially like Hollywood, like Boulevard, it was warm Times Square, is what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
There were a lot of the characters, and you get conned into taking a picture, and then they want a tip
Yeah.
kinda deal, and
Sanic the hedgehog who
Mhm.
yeah,
walked up to us
yeah,
looking all
right.
goofy, and it was like,
Dude, those guys have turf wars, man. They like there have been stabbings. I believe there have been shootings between the characters. Like one like for being on like the same like little section of the Walk of Fame, like just
I
my
would be all
area.
for it
Like
if they
it's
used their
wild.
characters' powers. "Hey, it's a me, Mario," and he, like, throws a fireball at you, or
Yeah,
maybe a can of Lysol with
pull
That would be cool, actually. That would be really sick. Oh, yeah. No, I'd be for it. That's a short film
Yes,
right
right?
yeah.
there. I
You know
like
what we
that.
did? We did
Yeah.
so we have Universal the closest Universal to us is obviously in Florida, but the Universal out there was really cool, and I don't know if it's just because it was our first time and, like, that was fun, but, like, getting to see where, like, actual stuff is shot, I feel like they don't really record anything in Orlando.
What
Maybe they do.
I wouldn't know, but yeah, being in Hollywood was very, like the central focal point of that Universal Studios.
But the thing that I couldn't wrap my head around,
Yeah.
we obviously Ubered everywhere and
Yeah.
or Lyft, and the one driver we had, she was like, "Yeah, I have 5 other roommates, and we're in, like, a two-bedroom apartment," and the cost of living, and that was, what, 5 years ago?
It was, yeah.
Bro,
I don't know how you do it.
bro, bro. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. First moved out here, which was about 10 years ago, thinking that it was relatively cheap compared to I was considering moving to New York. I'm from DC. And I was like, God, you're not getting like anything from your money now for your money. Now I didn't really know the areas. So what I was looking at in uh in LA was really Orange County, which is not in any way, shape, or form the same thing. I thought things were a little bit cheaper, but I think it's exactly the same as like New York prices now. And everything is really expensive. It's just like atrocious. It's atrocious. I don't know. I love LA. My work is here. I do work pretty steadily here. I don't know that I've been able to build my community and stuff, but it's yeah, God, you gotta hustle. You gotta hustle so hard. And the idea of buying a house here, I don't want what do you want? Oh, that shack with no yard, $1 million. Million. $1 million.
I
What?
I saw, like, a
What?
meme, and it was, like, one of those kids, like, plastic play homes, and it was, like, Zillow be like, "In California, 1.5 mil," and the roof was hanging off, and it was just beat.
Oh, no, like, I'm not joking, the houses, I'm like, "Why would I have an apartment with amenities. Why would I pay for that? Like, just to own property in Los Angeles? Like, no, dude, that's stupid." I would much rather, unfortunately, go elsewhere if I was trying to be a homeowner. I can't be I love LA, but
Doesn't sound
not that
comfortable.
much,
I'm
you
Doesn't
pretty
know?
sound
sure, like,
comfortable.
we ran out of money, and we were only there for 3 days.
Oh,
We
God.
were like, "We gotta get home somehow."
I'm pretty sure that's why we
Yeah.
walked to In-N-Out.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we were like, "We've got some time to kill."
Yeah,
We made
let's
it
just
sound like we wanted to see the town, but we definitely walked because we were broke.
But you know what I did find? So when we were in Hollywood, there were a lot of the shadiest tattoo parlors I think I've ever walked by. And dude, there was this guy out there and he was smoking a joint and he was like, "Hey man, I'll tattoo you anything you want $50," which is always, no, I'm way good. But then I looked up that shop and they were like voted like the worst tattoo shop. And I guess people go there like for the memes. So
Oh,
they'll
oh,
go
look at
there
this
just
shitty
to
tattoo that I got.
but there was a whole lot of that, and I'm not used to that here in Delaware. We don't have there are a lot of tattoo shops, but not just all within walking distance where people are just offering you we walked into I don't know if it was like I don't know if you have Walgreens or it was like a Rite Aid or something, and there was just like a dude ripping a bong, just like in the store, and
Oh, yeah, no, like, you can't what? Here's the thing about LA, you can't really get arrested for anything. Cops just don't
Hey,
care.
hey,
They've got
now,
bigger
it's like what I
fish to
do to my
fry.
kids when they're like
Tisk.
eating
Yeah.
extra snacks or they grab candy,
They're
and I'm
like,
like, "Hey,
"Yeah."
guys."
Yeah.
I don't lock them up or anything. It's
Y Yeah, or they'll just, like, just completely ignore it. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, somebody's just gone, like, speeding by or done something crazy, and there's a cop right there, and they just don't there's so much crime
man,
that they just are like, pick and choose your battles, man.
they've got other things to worry about.
No.
And I
Yeah.
wasn't used to I had weed, and it was DoorDash too, or not Door
It was.
whatever the Fresh or whatever the service is out there. Dude
Yeah.
just rolled up and just threw me a little
Mhm.
zipped
He said,
bag.
"Hey, you Greg." He was riding a bicycle, and we were sitting outside at a restaurant on Hollywood Boulevard, and he said and we couldn't get into the little bag. It was impossible to open. They said child-proof. It was
It was
damn,
definitely, like,
adult-proof.
adult proof, yeah. But I'm
I don't think you've ever been more stoned than that right
than
there.
that time, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we now it's pretty common everywhere, but that was, like, a shock. There was
Mhm.
a lot and
Mm.
once again, the cost, man, like, I just couldn't
Yeah.
fucking do that.
I would go back, though. I would go back to LA.
I would too. I'd probably wait a little bit now, and
Well,
then I would
Mayor, you're not, selling or selling me on it, or you're certainly not raising the property values.
I'll be honest, I don't know how the city's gonna bounce back. I really don't. I think we had COVID. We That was not handled well in, like, in our city at all. A lot of people left during COVID. A lot of entertainers left because it looked like a third world country. It was atrocious. There were riots absolutely everywhere. The graffiti, shops, everything torn apart in nice neighborhoods. Like, everything was just completely destroyed. The homeless thing was insane. We never fully bounced back from that at all. And then we had these strikes go on, which needed to happen, but that shut down a huge amount of work for so many people. We are the entertainment capital of the world. So that is what we do. Yes, that people have other jobs here, of course, but like the majority of this town is entertainment. People who work for studios, who work behind the scenes, who are not just, it's not just actors, it's the people who are really making these things happen, people who work in the offices and stuff. So having all of that shut down was really crazy. I know Paramount got bought. That laid off like thousands of people. That was really crazy. Yeah, people are and then to have this happen, I think a lot of people are considering going to other places. And besides that, we didn't it's really expensive to shoot in Los Angeles. Like, I know people who have shot it's very common to shoot in Cincinnati and make it look like Compton.
Mm.
I know several people who have shot films out there, flew out the entire team, like flew everybody out, all the actors, all the crew, flew them all out from Los Angeles. It was cheaper to do that, house them for months in a different state and film there than it would to be paying for permits in
That
Los
sounds
Angeles.
like a shift away from Hollywood.
Yeah, so do you think
It's really there's supposed to be a new tax incentive that happens this summer that's supposed to bring a lot of jobs back to the film industry or a lot of filming back here, but
It
I
would
don't
have to
know,
be pretty
man. I
significant, and
really
they
don't know.
probably have to fix a lot of other things at the same time. Mm.
Yeah,
Where's the
yeah,
next
yeah,
yeah.
what's the next Hollywood?
yeah,
You know,
where's
like
everybody going? What's the new mecca?
Austin's very popular right now, Austin, Texas. I know a lot of people are moving to
mm,
Vegas, so that's definitely an option. A lot of things are filmed in New Mexico and
mm,
overseas. A lot of productions are filmed overseas.
Okay.
Like, I have a buddy right now, he's working on the new is it Jack Ryan, I think? He's a line producer for Jack Ryan, and he's in Dubai.
mm.
He'll be there for a year, but yeah, everything's not here right now.
Did I
So, there's a lot of non-union stuff, so, like, a lot of the work that I do, that's filming constantly, but there's only so far you can go with those types of projects, and if you wanna take that next leap into your career, it's very difficult to do in Hollywood right now.
so I don't know if I heard this correctly, that there's, like, a new studio being built in North Carolina, or I don't know. I thought I saw that there's some massive studio being built somewhere this is gonna change.
I always thought Georgia.
Maybe isn't I mean,
Georgia, because it's that like the little what is it? The peach is the thing, and I would see it at the end of there's like video games that have
in
it
The
and movies
Walking
that
Dead,
have it.
I mean
Did
Oh, yeah, a lot is filmed in Atlanta. My boyfriend has an agent in Atlanta. He's a filmmaker, but he does a lot of stunt work, and his stunt agent is located in Atlanta because I think all of the Marvel films are shot out there. So Atlanta's a big hub. Atlanta's
yeah.
been a big hub for a minute. I know Danny McBride built a massive studio or is building a massive studio in is it North Carolina or South Carolina? It's one of the Carolinas, which awesome. It's wherever he's originally from is where he decided to do it. And I know that they do film a lot out there. But yeah, it's just moving. It's leaving. The beautiful thing that used to be so cool about LA is it's just such a hodgepodge of where you can walk down the street and meet anybody, an executive, a celebrity, an actor, a musician. It is just the networking was phenomenal out here. And when things are spread out, you don't have that option. But I think independent filmmaking is making a rise. So people are like, screw it. All right, I guess we're not going to be doing the big studio stuff because the studios are really only investing in once again like a big Marvel film or remakes or something like that. And you have to be the top of the top to get those roles. So the rest of the industry is okay, but like where's the work? that used to be available for the rest of
Mhm.
us, you know? Yeah. So we'll see. I think it'll be fine.
Are
We'll work
is
it out.
there,
We'll work it out. It's a strange
yeah,
place.
yeah. I know that, like, my kids, they don't watch they'll watch Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, whatever streaming services that we have, but a lot of what they watch is just YouTube or YouTube Shorts. So, I'm thinking towards them, are they ever gonna be like I'll think of that Star Wars the short film that you did. Is there ever a world where that's more prevalent than long films like, like a James Cameron movie, like a fuse
Absolutely.
between here's the
Absolutely.
TikTok of
That
Hollywood or something like that?
That's how I make my living is with that type of content. Yeah, I'm an artist at heart. I love really good storytelling. Unfortunately, that's just not that's so rare nowadays because production companies have realized that it's in this short form hook 'em real quick content. That's the future realistically. That's how I got popular was from a YouTube series. That's how I gained my original, like,
Okay.
following was from doing that. And truthfully, horrific content, like, not like, really cringeworthy stuff where you're just like and I had fun for a long time doing it and working with people, and it's, "Oh, it is what it is, whatever." But, the fact that a lot of people really started, like, taking it seriously and being like, "Oh my god, no, that's my favorite show." It's like, "What?
I
What are you talking
constantly
about?"
think that about whatever
Um
my kids are watching on YouTube, so I wouldn't even be surprised if I don't know the content. Or no, I do. Greg mentioned, yes. My kids have most certainly seen your work actually.
Oh, for sure. At some
Yes.
point in time,
Yes.
definitely. But all right. So what's popular now, and I think so. Hulu just has a division of it, or is starting a division for this, and think it's Robert De Niro who just invested in a studio to focus on vertical content.
Mm.
So I've been doing a lot of this over the past year. It's literally the only thing that's filming in LA right now. And it's filming constantly. There are these apps that you can subscribe to, and either you pay for tokens or you can like watch ad breaks and stuff. And they are so I will film a series and it's all the same type of equipment that you would have on a regular larger film set, except for they have lenses that have everything shot vertically for your phone. And it's the content is it's very like soap opera-y, it's very like high stakes kind of type of thing. It's meant to hook you, bait and hook, where it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? It's a lot of drama, very like over the top. And we'll shoot for 2 weeks straight. And it's about the length of a feature film, but they're chopped up into episodes. So each series is probably 7 or 8 episodes, but each episode is 3 minutes
Mhm.
long and to get you to watch the next one, right? And it hooks you, and every episode ends on a
That sounds very
cliffhanger,
soap
right?
opera-y.
Oh my gosh.
But that's a tried and true format.
It
I
works.
say
It
that my
works,
first soap opera was and it's not really, but Lost on ABC. Like, at the end of every episode, you go, "What's the smoke monster doing on the island?" Or, "What's some other crazy thing that they twist?"
I okay. But I'm down with loss. Like I'm totally down for give me the soapbox. That's totally fine. But give me some meat. Give me the and Lost did that. So they did it really well. I think right now it's a lot of like copycats storytelling that's going on with these different productions. Some production companies are really trying to like do different style content. It's very popular, and I think, I think that's the future. I would love to see a series with some better storytelling. I'd love to be involved in a series that has some better storytelling. Right now, there's not a huge amount of that. My issue that I'm thinking of is like, how do you do that properly and still get the audience hooked? And also that specific audience that watches this type of content, they're used to certain stories and they're used to certain types of like they're used to the soap stuff. They're used to the over the top. And i- they might not enjoy a really beautiful, dramatic, or whatever, or action piece because that's just not what they're into if it's done vertically. It might not work. That's more for people like people who watch those type of things like to watch it on the television. They like to watch it on the big
Yeah.
screen. They're not there's at some point I think the two will mesh together, but right now it's difficult. I think there's going to be a lot of
Yeah,
trial and
I've got a
error.
friend that is a
And
huge YouTube fan. Like he likes to consume his content sometimes on his phone, but some like a lot of the times on his computer. And he's like long form content. Give me a 45-minute, 2-hour video or something like that. And he's definitely in the minority, but he recognizes that. And we've seen it even for like, we prefer like our social media is Instagram. And we tried TikTok, and yes, TikTok is still here now, right? We've still got it. There was a scare, I know, for a lot of people that do actually use it. I was worried about some of the content creators that I like to watch on there. But anyway, it's not even different fans. It's just the way that people behave on them are different. YouTube and TikTok, YouTube versus TikTok. Here's YouTube, here's TikTok.
oh, yeah, it's like everyone has their medium. So it's like a TikToker is not necessarily going to be successful on YouTube. Somebody who's successful on Instagram is not necessarily successful on TikTok because they're different audiences. Same with Facebook. Facebook is a great place for creators as well, but it's just a different audience. Actually, Facebook is a very broad audience, really
Everybody's
broad,
on
but
Facebook.
and through so many different countries and stuff as well. And the ability to reshare so easily is great. But
Me
yeah, it just everything is it's weird. It's almost like they they gave us too many options and now it's hard to put everybody be like, this is what you're watching. This is what's popular now. This is what we're doing. Because everyone's no, nah, I like it's all over the place. So if you can find your audience, then that's great and do what you love to do. But you really at the with these new series and this new form of content, at the end of the day, you have business people running these things. You have the suits, and they're not artists. They don't care. They don't care if it's good quality content. They don't care if the actors are happy. They don't care. They don't care if the crew is satisfied. They're like, okay, what's the bare minimum that we can pay
Yeah.
you without
Uh,
getting in trouble so that we don't look like crummy.
I'm sure
All
that's
right.
always
And
been
how many of these can we pump
right.
out a week? I know it's not right. It's the only thing that's filming right now. And I'm pretty like popular in that space. So, and I do enjoy the people that I work with,
Yeah.
truly. You have some really talented filmmakers who are like, this is the job right now, who are working on these projects. But yeah, man, it's meant to hook you.
it
It's like
is,
gambling. It's
and
it
then it got so then after they of course, they fell in love.
Okay. Ah, wait, wasn't this called The
oh yeah.
So
Proposal?
then it turns out that my man
Wasn't
was actually like a martial artist, and then he ended up fighting a whole bunch of people, and then there was, like, some
Yeah.
deaths. There was a shootout for some reason.
Was he also a billionaire, but
Yes.
secretly
Yeah, he was
secretly
pretending to be
undercover?
homeless, but it was to take down his
Right.
uncle has been stealing from the company, and then he was just this, like, handsome dude the whole time,
this
and it
sounds like
was
a
just
Hallmark
like
movie.
the Clark
Yeah.
Kent effect where glasses on versus off.
Oh,
It was
100%.
so
Yeah.
Was
good.
that
Yeah.
The Princess Diaries?
Where she,
Anne Hathaway, right? All she had to do was let her hair down and take off her glasses. She's
Yep.
beautiful.
It does
Yeah.
work.
It's
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
All right, you know what? Exclude me. I'm so cheap. I could never consume that content. But it sounds like a video game. I play a video game and they sell you a game and then they sell you DLC. The DLC should be like what this would be like a sequel, but it sounds like they sell you a half of a TV or a third of a TV show and they get you hooked. Is this what this is
It
what I'm
got to,
getting at?
like, to the point where it was like, I have to know what's going on because 'cause I've just invested, like, 30 minutes of my life into this, and then it just
Yeah, that's exactly
Hmm.
that's their business plan. That's their
Damn.
business model.
and
Yes. Like, actually, but, like,
that's what and
factually,
it
that
works.
is their business model.
And it must work if that's all that's happening right now.
I feel
Oh,
bamboozled,
it
but, like,
works.
I wanted to know what
It
happened.
and it depends on the platform, right? So certain ones are more expensive than others. But on one of the top ones, the more expensive ones, we did the math on it. So I think it comes down to about 20 or $30 for someone to watch the whole thing, which is like the time of watching a movie. But that's more than your Netflix subscription that's more than
Yeah, now
what?
they've got to get you to do it by the first
So
one, and now you're financially invested in this, and you couldn't pay once and not actually finish the whole story. It's genius, actually.
I wanted to know.
it's evil
It is.
genius. Yeah,
You know what? We
it's
might do
evil
it for this
genius.
episode of the podcast.
Just like
We'll get
2/3 of the way through, you
and if you
have
wanna hear the rest of this podcast, just pay $5.99.
No, you have to do it in tokens because tokens, I feel like
Oh,
psychologically doesn't hurt as bad. It's only 10,000 tokens instead of like,
but
here's $20.
the transfer rate is the thing that confuses people because
Mhm.
you don't wanna put a financial amount, but the token
It's
count.
like making something $2.99 instead of $3, right? It's
Mm,
Yeah.
that pricing psychology,
yeah,
and it works.
yeah, yeah.
So watch now your phone, you're gonna scroll through Instagram or Facebook, and they're gonna pop up, and it'll play like a good bit.
Oh, yeah, because 'cause you've been talking about it, so your
I
phone
know,
knows
it's
that your
listening, it's
phone
listening
knows
for
now.
sure. I hate, like, getting got, no offense, but what is that, Threads? Like
Oh
Instagram Threads?
god, yep.
I haven't downloaded Threads, and tell me, I genuinely I feel like a boomer sometimes, like, I just don't know what it is, and I'm just not interested, but that's like Twitter
I believe
almost,
it's
right?
X
Oh, I'm sorry,
now.
yes, Jesus Christ, that's how far back I am. Threads is X, but for Meta, like Instagram, right? I'll see like they'll do the same thing where they'll try and get you hooked on a story like it because it'll just pop up in my Instagram feed.
Oh, yeah, and then you're like it's like, "Oh, so and so posted a thread you might be interested in," and you're like, "I don't even know who that person is,
I
but it looks good.
and
What are they
listen,
talking about?"
I know they know it does interest me. I absolutely want to click on it. To this day, still, I'm still not on Threads. Thank
Really
you.
proud of
Thank you.
you.
Me too.
That's
I'm
good.
glad there's some recognition here.
You know what I did? I took us off of TikTok.
Yeah,
So to touch on your point, TikTok just wasn't our base.
not
Like
our
I could
bag.
not get TikTok going. I couldn't like I would post something on YouTube or Instagram and it would do really well, and then I'd post it on TikTok and we would get our assholes just annihilated.
Not
And so
enough dancing videos.
yeah, yeah.
I need to get my dancing skills up.
It just I couldn't do it. But then I've heard, yeah, like some people just do well on other platforms,
Mhm.
but Threads is one thing that I have not done for us.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. We just recently got into Facebook, so we're
You sound like my great grandmother. Just getting into Facebook.
just finding out about this
Want to
Facebook.
keep up with the grandchildren.
I think I what you could do with Threads is just because I was thinking the same thing, like, what's the difference between this and Twitter? I have a Twitter account, but, like, I've never used it ever, and I don't really I'm like, "Who cares what my little thought in the world is?" But when on Threads, like, if I'm on Instagram and I see something funny from a meme site or a meme page or something, and I, like, comment something witty on it, like, I can share it to Threads and be like, and so, like, now my favorite thing to do on there is if it's, like, a really inappropriate video or something that pops up, I just tag my, like, random friends in it and share it with them on Threads. "Hey, thought you'd be interested in this. Ha." Good for, like, silly stuff like that. As far as, like, showcasing your podcast and your episodes and stuff, it might not be what people are specifically looking for on there, but if they get to know your brand, then you might be able to convert some of them over time elsewhere. So being active is good, but yeah, it's not always going to have those immediate results that other
I think
platforms give you.
for me, that's been the biggest challenge is figuring out what works on which platform and how to drive people from one platform to another. People on YouTube, how can I get you to our Instagram? And I hate the generic like link in bio, but I find myself doing it anyway.
Necessary evil.
And oh, I used 6 hashtags, but this person said I should only use 5. And like trying to find that balance is so difficult.
See, Greg, you really wanted to do a podcast, but you ended up becoming a social media manager.
And when we started this podcast,
It's
it was
inevitable.
all like this podcast was strictly audio because I feel like that's a traditional podcast, right? It's just audio. But then I was like, this isn't going to do well.
Yeah.
We need clips.
Yep.
People love clips.
People need clippage.
Like, they
I
like the
like the
clip.
clips. I think unless you're, like, already popular because there's so many, if you've been around for a long time and you started at the before everybody else started making a podcast, which I think is awesome. I love that there's an outlet for so many people. Like you can feel like you're watching somebody have a conversation, feel like you're hanging out with somebody type of thing. And I think it's cool that anyone can do it. I think there's a lot of clickbaity shit out there that like drives me nuts. And I'm like, first of all, who are you? And what since when did you become an expert in this topic? Okay.
That's another
Calm it
you
down.
got
Like
if there's just clickbaity stuff. I also don't feed that beast. Yeah.
but like something like this, we're just like hanging out, having a conversation. It's very like I love that. I love that people can do it. But since everyone does it now, it's hard to find that if it's only an audio version. Like how do I find my tribe? How do I find who I like to listen to? Where I some for some reason, if you can see something, it just gives you a little bit more connection to it. And then you post those clips constantly and you never know what's going to take off. I hate to say it, but it really is consistency. I'm not great about consistency, but I know that you can pop off. It
There's a
just
point.
It's
takes a minute.
wild, like, when we post so I try to post every day to feed that algorithm and keep the Instagrams happy, but, uh, what does well and what doesn't, like, I still can't figure out. Like, I'll post a clip, and, like, sometimes it'll do really well, and sometimes, meh.
It's when we talk about really like perverted sexual stuff. And it is, but that's like that clickbaity thing. Oh, I want to hear about something that's
It's
taboo almost.
It's that. It's also it's the algorithm. So the algorithm on each platform is different, but it's smart. It's really smart. TikTok in particular, if you're posting something and they know that it's from a podcast and they know that they know what it is the second you post it. The algorithm knows and it knows that the only reason you're posting this is to try and drive traffic to another platform. So they'll suppress it. The algorithm will suppress it to keep people because they're like, why are we going to promote something that's going to drive traffic elsewhere?
Every
We don't
minute
want that.
someone's watching
You
your
know?
podcast. That's 1 minute they're not watching TikTok.
Yep.
Mm.
Exactly. Instagram is very similar that way. So if they see oh, this is a podcast clip, it's two guys, what's successful when they're doing that? It's gonna be two dudes hanging out talking about tits. Like
Right.
that's what the algorithm
Right.
thinks people want. So that's what it's going to push. And it gets confused if you are posting my page is like a hodgepodge of personal, work, fun, this, that, whatever. And a lot of times it just doesn't know what to do with my content. I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyways because like I don't want to have different sites for all these different things and whatever my audience will find me. I don't care. But yeah, it does 100% get confused if it's like we don't know what to do with
You're
this.
gonna break the
So
algorithm.
Well,
yeah.
and then I'll find Instagram will recommend people to us, and for whatever fucking reason, I don't know what we did, but it was all people who worshiped Satan.
Oh, it's looking at your
Oh,
tattoos.
because you were a heathen.
Yeah,
You're a
so
fucking
so
heathen. That's why.
apparently I'm gonna burn in hell. So but that is something that has been popping up. It said recommended for you, and it's just whatever, more power.
Maybe they're trying to tell you something like that might be
I'll tell you, when we were doing just audio, we weren't ever going to be able to find guests to have on to have these conversations. Like, it was just Eric and I, and we've talked about this before, but, like, we would do a 45-minute bit, and then we would fucking eat snacks for some reason.
Like, imagine. Nope.
Did you get like a mukbang community?
So funny enough, that's how we really
That's how we
started. Mair and
started.
we work together. We've worked together for a long time. And we would just okay, we were sitting in the car. We've told this story on the podcast a few times, but we were sitting talking and said, "Hey, look at this girl. She was very attractive, but she posted on what's that fundraiser site?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe." And she said, "Help me like live my dreams." Was it a PC
She
that
wanted a
wanted?
gaming
She
computer.
wanted a gaming computer, and she said, "Please help me fund my gaming PC." And people gave her money. She didn't do anything. She didn't promise them anything. She just wanted money, and people gave it to her. We were like, "Oh, well, why don't we try that?" So we said, "No lies. We're just gonna eat fast food, and we'll go live, and people could watch us eat because that's what we loved to do. We love food so much." And we did it. People gave us money. We went live on Facebook just to our friends, and there were no like outside followers. And what happened? I gained 30 pounds. You went to the hospital.
Yep.
and we immediately cut. But there was
Mm.
always, like, within our, like, friends and family, like, a desire, "When are you gonna go live on Facebook again?"
And yeah, so we would be sitting there eating, and then it would be like, so and so gave you $50. And I was like, wait a minute, this is awesome. Like, people are paying us to just essentially kill ourselves by just eating a bunch of fast food. And so we did that, yeah. And then we stopped, but then we missed that part of it. We're like, how can we like still record ourselves, but not?
Shit, dude, we missed that because there are people that
Oh,
legit
yeah.
I actually see it, and I feel bad sometimes, like, there's people that are doing it, and they, like if you see this is when they started doing these live eating videos.
Oh, it's
It
atrocious.
it
It's
makes me
so
like,
bad. It's so
Oh,
bad
yeah.
for their health. It's
I
like
don't wanna watch. I like it is, pleasing to watch, but I don't want to watch and, like, almost condone it, like, the way that it is, but
it's a strange it's such a strange thing. I just recently discovered the name of it. I didn't know that this was like a mental disorder, but apparently I have one. It's where like this like certain sounds like trigger like extreme anger. So I have a really sensitive hearing. I have tinnitus too. It came from just being in the music industry and having listening to headphones too loud for so many years in the studio. But I think I've always had really sensitive hearing, so certain, like, chewing and smacking noises, like, I will throw you out the window. Like, I will physically get out of here.
that's
I
all
hate
that's
it,
what a lot of that
right?
stuff is. That's just not your bag then anymore, is it?
It's oh, I can't do it. So it doesn't make sense to me, but I know that it's, like, such a popular thing, and, I was talking to somebody one time who or no, it was somebody that my mom worked with, and she had, like, an intern, and, this girl was, like, very weird and quiet, and she would sit in her little office cubicle and watch these mukbang videos while she would eat her lunch, and my mom asked her, like, "What is it about this that you like?" And she's, "Feels like I'm having lunch with" this is sad.
Wow.
"It feels like I'm having lunch with a friend." And I was like,
Oh my.
"What? Oh."
Girl, let's get you out and go have some real friends and lunch, and wow.
But
Which is so, like, sad and endearing, but I think that's a big part of why people watch that is they feel like they're having a meal with you. Maybe not like they don't have anyone to eat with, I'm not saying
That's
that,
not
but they feel like they're a part of it for some reason, or it's, like, comforting. I don't get it, but
what's that show on? I think it's TLC, My 600 Pound Life.
yeah,
And so the one person was like, that was her thing, mukbanging.
okay.
And, but like the amount of food. And then I'm thinking, how can they afford
Yeah, that's money.
it is money. Like the amounts of food that you're consuming is wild. I can't get down. Like some people really like hearing people eat pickles into a microphone.
Oh, like a clausen, like a
Like,
snap?
why?
Yeah, ASMR
Yep.
is what they're going
Eating
for.
ASMR. Nope. Nope. Cut sand. I want to see you cut some sand,
I can
right?
get down with that. I can get down with
Those
the
are
sand cutting.
those are
I'm
very
all
good.
Or
about that.
a red hot nickel ball.
I love red hot
Right?
nickel balls, dropping
Yep.
them on things or putting it in a jar of mayonnaise.
Yes.
The crushing thing that
The
crushes all of the
hydraulic
stuff.
presses, that's
Yeah.
all that my kids wanna watch. I have in my car when we're waiting for school drop off line, they're like, "Put on the pressing videos, put on the pressing videos," or the elephant toothpaste videos. It's just a very long video for the elephant toothpaste.
Mm-mm.
It's
The thing that I don't know what it's made out of, but it expands
yeah, so if you put it in,
tremendously.
like, a test, it shoots the chemical reaction, like, shoots out this I don't know, looks like a tube shooting it out like a tube of toothpaste. Look it up, tube elephant toothpaste. I know it's a really weird
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
but now I'm
for it.
intrigued.
Yeah. But yeah.
Who was it? Was it David Dobrik who, like, did, like, elephant toothpaste, but filled his
I've
pool
seen
in the back of filled his pool with this chemical, and then they put I think it was him. I would not be surprised if it was. And then they, like, put a chemical in it, and literally, it just took over. It took over. It was way, way
they
too
didn't
much.
they
It
didn't do
was
the science and it
insane.
filled up the backyard.
I think
Yeah, and yeah, I think there was major property
Oh,
damage.
so we've moved on. Mayor, we used to watch the way I was introduced, my daughter used to watch some short videos. I won't name the company that you were involved
we
with.
had talked about it a little
Yeah,
bit
we
while you were
talked.
gone.
Okay, yeah. So that's how, but then now her big thing is Ben. Azel probably on she calls it Cam because his, like, best friend is Cam, and I think she's, like, in love with Cam. Then he's got, like, this vest on, but he doesn't wear a shirt under and that's what we watch now, but that's the type of shit that he does too, and it's crazy to me, just
It's content.
it
Yeah,
is.
my kids watch a ton of that stuff. It's that's
It's really
yeah,
wild. I guess we can relate it to, like, Viva La Bam or
that
something
really
like
Mhm.
hard.
that, or Jackass, like, stuff that we used to watch back in the day. It's similar. I've worked with
Yeah.
Ben before. He's a real sweetheart, but, like, the whole concept of our video was, like, that we did was he's playing himself, and I one of our friends was playing Cam, actually, and, I think Vin was playing him. That would make sense because 'cause he's got the six pack. And basically, like, we're just, like, pranksters do like, pulling all of these pranks on each other in the house and stuff like that. Really sweet kid, honestly. I guess he's an adult
Yeah.
now, but I think he was, like, 17 or
Yeah.
something when I worked with him, maybe 18? I don't know. Really sweet, but it's just, "Whoa, that's what you guys do." Now, mind you, he's got, like, a massive team behind him. So, like, everything is planned out, but he's a hustler too, like, in between takes and stuff, he's, like, communicating and scheduling, like, "Okay, I have to do this, like, this day and this because 'cause they're constantly it's a machine of content that has to be
I know
made.
there's a
Uh
kind of community, and I wanna say YouTube, but when I first really noticed it, you guys remember Vine?
Oh, yeah.
Like those
Mhm.
Vine videos, and then there would almost be like, I don't know, like a Vine house where people would be like all these like individual creators would meet up and say, "Oh, now this person's gonna collab in this person's Vine video." And I thought that was awesome. I was like, "Oh, because everybody loves a crossover." And I don't know why I thought that all these people that were really popular on Vine probably just lived like it was anybody just like me from little old Delaware. And this guy's from Michigan, Colorado, and Arizona. But I have to imagine all these people live in LA and they're very centralized and they could visit each other regularly and easily to make more content.
Yeah, so there's things called they're always popping up, and I've been to a lot of them where they're like influencer houses and not necess and nobody necessarily lives there. So the content there now there are houses that, like, influence like, a group of friends will get who are influencers, and they'll live there, and they'll create content and stuff like that there. But for the most part, a lot of those collabs that you're seeing is there's certain days of the week where this house is open for influencers. Like, you have to and you need a special if you either you need to be invited by a friend, and you need to show your follower count, and in order to
That's
go,
fair.
in order to come in. And you have they'll have products and all sorts of stuff there, and they're sponsored by companies. There was this one called the Wish House for a long time. It was sponsored by Wish, which is like a Temu
Oh,
or,
yeah, 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 yeah.
cheap
I remember.
Amazon
Wish
type
was
of
the
thing.
like the original Timo. It was like, oh,
Can't afford
the Wish
Nickelback,
Yeah.
so you get
the Wish
.com
version
version. Yeah, right.
of Nickelback.
Yeah. They had this dope house, like, really dope house. I went there a few times, and they had all these products, and it was like, at least one of your videos, you have to show something with Wish on it, right? That's it. That's or tag us or something like that. But it's basically just like a place where a whole bunch of different creators come once a week, and you would think it's like a wild party, and I guess, like, occasionally it would get that way, but really, like, these people are there to work. There's not, like, a lot of drinking or, like, doing drugs or anything like
Honestly, it's
that.
a lot of
It's
fun.
so weird. It's the most awkward kind of thing, like, you're literally there, everyone's sizing each other up. Most people are really nice, right? But, like, you get there and it's, "Am I popular enough to go talk to that person over there and ask them if they wanna do a video with me?" Or, "Oh, I'm friends with this person who knows that person, so can you make the intro real quick? I have this idea of this thing that I think that we could shoot." It's so awkward and so weird. And it's just, "Oh, can I see your page?" And then they'll look at your page or you look at each other's page and it's, "Oh, so you do this type of content. I do this type of content. What's something that we can make together real quick that's not gonna take up too much of my time because I still wanna do this one thing with this other." It gives me the most atrocious anxiety ever. It's definitely helpful and useful, and I've had a lot of fun doing it, but it's really
You just
weird.
explaining it gives me anxiety, like second hand, third, almost fourth hand of anxiety. It feels like I could never. I would just be like, I'll just wait till anybody
I'm
comes
good.
up to me."
Yeah,
And that's why I
Yeah,
don't have
it's
a very popular following.
Well, so do you ever get comfortable with being uncomfortable, or is it always just
I live in a state of being uncomfortable most of the time, and so I've just gotten comfortable in my discomfort. It's one of those things where at first I was nervous because I was like, "Oh, I, like, know those people," but then I had to realize, "Oh, but those people also know me." And I just don't know that because I am me, so I just live in my version of myself. It's just and most people are pretty cool and down to collab. And if they're not, like, fuck 'em, they're assholes, you know? But nobody wants to get that rap. So most people are very open and stuff. And it's all transactional. It's not like you're really making like any deep friendships or anything like that.
If I see somebody doing a collab, I didn't know they were friends, 100% is my first thought.
And sometimes they are. Like I have people who I work with pretty closely, like all the time, because we are homies and we love working with each other and because our audience is used to seeing us together. But it's nice to cross promote. But like YouTube, like, are you guys in the creator program on
I don't think
YouTube?
so.
no, not yet.
Not yet. When you get a certain subscriber base, they'll ask you to join. They have networking events in pretty much every major city every couple of months or something. And it's free for creators. You go, and it's a great place where it's like they'll tell you what creators are also who are on their platform also have your niche type of thing. And it's okay, this would be a good person for you to do a collaboration with. And you guys share your audiences. So that's always the there
I give it
it's a
like
business move. It does it, and sometimes you are like, "Oh, you're really cool, like, I could see working with you again," but a lot of times it's just, "That was fun."
right, yeah, yeah. See ya.
I feel like for us too, when we were first starting, like reaching out to people was so just I would sit there and I would type up the email or the message and 9 times out of 10, you would just get nothing back, right?
Mm,
And we were like, you know what? I liked it more when someone would just tell me no
sure.
than to not say anything at all. But I know too, like it's hard. It was even harder when we first started, and like I feel like all of our messages just got like shot to everyone's spam filter because
Mhm.
I'm sure you get invites all the time. You know what I mean? So then our thing was like, how can we like, what are we doing that's different than everyone else that's not going to like I don't wanna say waste people's time, but, like, how can we get to talk to people? And honestly, I think one of the first people that we got was William Hung. He was
What?
the first he was one of our first we did 2 interviews that week. It was Dave Elkins from the band May and William Hung.
Mhm.
And then we were like, "Okay, maybe we can start talking to people," and then we were able to
It rolled from there. Yeah, it was
yeah.
very good, yeah.
But it
All you need is one. All you need is, like, to show that you've had one kind
References.
whether
Right.
notable or not, guest on there, and they're like,
Mhm.
Well,
"Okay,
and I think
cool."
when we had Puyan who plays keys in Scary Kids Scaring Kids, and when I messaged him, I was like, "Hey, here's what our show is, but we also really wanna know about the person and not, like, what everyone sees." And he's like, "For me, that was why I wanted to come on," because I get people all the time that say, "Hey, what's it like playing in a touring band?" Versus, "Hey, I'm also this.
Yeah.
This is
I've
what."
talked about playing in a touring band 50, 100 times. Let me talk about me, who
Yeah.
I am. So, yeah, we found it super helpful to just not helpful. It's really nice to just have a conversation
Yep.
with you and find out who you are, what makes you tick, what is your why.
And so we used to use these scripts that ChatGPT would give us, and we have to hit these questions, but then we're like, "This just sounds so artificial and not organic." So for us, we were like, "What if we just talk to the individual?"
What a novel idea.
Yeah, who would have thought? Who would
Yeah. And hey, if somebody's, trying to promote something or they have an album coming out or a movie coming out or something like that, and they're like, "Hey, like as long as we at some point bring it back to that or draw attention to it, like cool." But the thing that's cool about podcasts is it's not a press tour like where you go on these talk shows and these are the questions and everything is very like rigid and it's this whoever you want to present in the world as like a public figure, you have that versus going on podcasts. The cool thing about it is you get to see who a human really is. You get to see them more relaxed, or are they more uptight when there isn't a structure and they don't feel like protected by like, all right, oh, don't ask me that, or oh, I don't want to talk
Some
about
people
that.
are
Like,
certainly like that too. And Yeah, and it's
Really?
okay. It is what it is, but so generally, that's our goal is to go with the flow, whoever we're interviewing. Like, we've had people like we can be sailors. What the fuck? This is a piece of shit. Da, 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 da. But we'll generally just go vibe with whoever we're speaking with. But most of all, because we find that leads to a more easy or fun, interesting conversation if they're comfortable. So I feel like that's A for us is just comfortable.
And it's nice too when people we had, a band on and he said I think he said, so "Is it okay if I cuss?" And it's, "Oh, yeah, you are way good. You can say whatever."
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead, asshole, schmasshole, whatever you want. Yeah, yeah.
but I think, yeah, it's just
But
kinda
no rules because we're our own bosses.
yeah, and that's the one thing, that's nice about not having somebody telling you what to do.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can you get to make your own way.
Mhm.
So for our listeners, how can they connect with you and find what you're up to, any new projects you're working on?
Probably the best place would be Instagram, and my handle is at that girl Mair, ThatGirlMair. Instagram is where I usually post updates or clips from different projects and different things that I'm working on. I have my TikTok, which is at Mair Mulroney, but that's more. Most of my stuff on TikTok lives in the TikTok world because that's just that community. But I also have a YouTube channel, and that's at That Girl Mair. And I have a podcast that launches on Tuesday at noon next week. But I don't know when this comes out. So maybe by the time this comes out, I have a podcast
Yeah, so the
too.
podcast
So,
aired
Yesterday, everybody go and listen. What's the title of the
all
podcast?
right. Yeah, it's called the Ever Forward podcast. I have a production company with my partner called Ever Forward, and it's really about journeyman artists and pushing through and, the what keeps us going in this really strange world and especially time that we're living in as entertainers. And not everyone's an entertainer. A lot of people that we, talk to are just, but we all have the same heart and the same goal, and it's wanting to tell stories and do something different and not work a typical 9 to 5. And that's a very real possibility that people can do. But what does that really look like? And just having conversations with people, and same as you, trying to get to know how people tick, but without pushing it too hard and just existing in a room with someone.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Greg,
And I'm Eric.
and we are the Daddies.